The following announcement has been paid for by Behind the Turnbuckle Plus,
the new pod order.
BTT Plus. Yeah, it's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. Plus.
Oh, it's extra content right here, chicos. Think about it. BTT Plus, taking over the pod game. Live Q&As, watch-alongs, new shows. BT. Is that okay, Big Tommy? Enter the war room, turnbuckle style.
Plus.
It's the new way. We call it BTT Plus. The genesis has begun. The beginning of the new pod or BTT. Everybody wants to know what to do next. Well, just scan the code. The pod revolution BTT Plus starts now.
The preceding announcement has been paid for by Behind the Turnbuckle Plus, new pod order.
And it is that time of the week again. What is good, BTT Universe? It is your boy, the coach, and we are here every single Monday night as soon as Monday Night Raw has gone off the air to break down everything that was in Raw and also any big storylines going on in the world of pro wrestling. As always, we are brought to you by Mybookie.ag. New customers, sign up right now. I'm going to give you up to 100% bonus, up to $1,000. You can play all week, MMA, wrestling, whatever you want. Join us at Mybookie.ag. Now, I can't do it without my partner. Over 32 years inside of the WWE, and he has been all over every podcast, it seems like this week. My goodness, what a superstar. Big Tommy C. Good evening, sir.
What's happening? And I think I had to get an agent now, Coach. You think so?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Just to take your wife's calls, you need an agent, Tommy. My goodness. My goodness. All right, Tommy, a couple of things.
Yes.
Before you even get started. Do you know where I'm going tomorrow?
No, I don't.
All right. Well, where I'm going tomorrow is a very, very secret location. And I'm going to meet up with one of the biggest WWE personalities, or fans, excuse me, ever. He was at WrestleMania this year. We've had him as the second guest on the show. He has a wrestling museum, and you got to see him in stand-up.
That's
now,
right.
do you know where I'm going tomorrow?
The Fluffy Man.
You're damn right. Gabriel Iglesias.
Great guy. Great guy.
Oh, can't wait. He's got the most incredible wrestling museum. We're going to go down, shoot a bunch of videos, shoot another interview with him. He's a huge fan. He treats us so well. So I can't wait to do that tomorrow. Also, we are closing in on a date for when we will launch on Stadium, Amazon Prime, DirecTV. We're looking at first or second week in December. And also, it looks like it's going to be on Wednesday nights, and then a repeat on Saturday morning. Does that work with your schedule?
Well, I got to check with my agent, but I'm sure I can make it work.
All right. Anybody joining us live right now? Any questions, put them into the chat. We'll try to get to as many as we can in real time. But, Tom, we got a lot to talk about. And who would have thought that we would have a backstage interviewers fighting on social media on our bingo card? I can't even believe I just said that, but it's real. And we're
yes, it is.
It's real. Goodness. I can't even believe we're going to talk about that. But we got to start with tonight's main event. But Tommy, here's the problem. This was a taped Monday Night Raw. We already knew what was going to happen. And when you sign these big money deals and now Triple H wants to give guys time off, you run into the issue. I saw so many people complaining online. I already know what's happening. Last week, Tommy, 1.5 million. They're not talking about their ratings. Everybody's only talking about AEW. Right now, things are not all that great for WWE.
Well, as we know, Coach, being there for years, strong storylines drives the product, makes the ratings go up. And when you don't have a strong storyline going, and I can't even think of one besides the Bloodline right now, which is really a SmackDown thing, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what's happening on Raw. I see they're trying to do things with Gunther now and Damian Priest, but I can't think of another storyline going on. Now, you're going to tell me the War Raiders and JD McDonough and Finn Balor is another one? I don't get it, man. That's why you're getting it. And we're in the world of social media where everybody gives away the finishes and what happened a week ago. And that's why you have this situation right now.
Well, there's a lot of reasons, and sometimes when you hide in front of the dollar sign, that can be an issue. All this week, all these announcements, Tommy, about Monday Night Raw, and tonight they were no mentions that this was already done. And we'll get in a little bit later in the show on the January 6th edition of Raw, some of the announcements that have been made. We do have a couple of questions in the chat. We'll get to those too. Jason, this one is about the main event. So Seth possibly joining the War Games match. We have Bronson Reed on Solo's team. What do we think? Well, the way that Raw went off the air tonight, Tommy, with all of the War Games teams coming in, they disappear, and then at the end, here comes Solo out of nowhere, allowing Bronson Reed for the W. It just feels like to me they're setting things up to where Seth Rollins will overlook the fact that he doesn't want a team with Roman Reigns, but he wants to get back at Bronson and the rest of the team. Where is Tommy? Where is Tommy? Can't hear. Okay, I believe we are back. I believe we are good. Jason in the chat or somebody in the chat, let me know that you guys can see us and hear us. And if we can bring Tommy back onto the screen, then we'll know we are all good. It happens sometimes. You got these platforms that crash or there's too much information on them. Are we good? Can anybody let me
Here
know
I
that
am.
you
There I
guys
am.
are good?
There I
Oh,
am.
there you are. There you are. All right. GST says, I hear and see you. Fantastic. Jason says you're good as well. All right. We lost all the questions. Whatever questions you have, re-put them into the chat and we'll get to them here momentarily as we always do. Thank you for joining us here on The Last Word. He is Big Tommy C. I am the coach, and sometimes that happens. So, Tommy, I had just tossed it to you and thought the way they went off the air tonight, will that set up in your mind Seth Rollins overlooking everything and ultimately being the final contestant or competitor for this War Games match?
Yeah, they're gonna play this out to the hilt with Seth not being, "Oh, I'm gonna do it." I don't really wanna do it. I'd like to do it because I can't stand Roman, but I think the bottom line is there's nobody else that they could put in there, and it's gonna be Seth because Bronson's gonna be on Solo's side, so it kinda makes it even that Seth wants to get back at Bronson, and we saw Solo come in the ring at the end. I think it's gonna be Seth. I can't think of anybody else at this point in time.
I'm trying to figure out why they've made it so difficult for Seth Rollins to want to sign up and compete with Roman Reigns. I thought Sami Zayn made a good point tonight. He was like, "Hey, a year ago you were willing to team up with Cody Rhodes, and you have got a lot of issues with Cody Rhodes,
Yeah.
and we saw what happened going to WrestleMania. Why do you think, Tommy? Unless I've missed something, and I know I haven't watched every single second of all of it, but I feel like not that much has happened since they were part of the Shield that would make Seth go, nope, not going to do it. Did I miss something?"
No, you didn't miss anything, coach. I think they're just stringing it out for storyline purposes and for people to watch. Is he going to do it? Is he not going to do it? Who can else be there? there's speculation on social media that Brock Lesnar's coming out. That's not happening, folks. So they want to string it along. They know Seth's going to do it. We know Seth's going to do it, but it's just lazy writing in, string it along, make the match. Let's get them going and do your promotion from that point on.
And a reminder, you've got to look at the schedule. I didn't have it right in front of me, but the next few weeks, there's going to be several, at least one more week of Raw in December that's going to be taped. And then next week, I believe there's going to be a SmackDown that's going to be taped as
Hey,
well. So that's going to be a real issue also. Another big topic tonight, and this is part of the problem with the taped match, that when this happened last week, they said, oh my gosh, Sheamus has beaten Braun Breaker. He's a new Intercontinental Champion. That's not even close to what happened. There
mm-mm.
was Kaiser. Was it Kaiser?
Yes.
Kaiser.
Yes. It was Kaiser.
That was the best he's ever looked. He comes out
Yeah.
of nowhere. He beats down Braun Breaker. It's a disqualification. And then I loved the Nat sounds, Tommy. I'm not going to stop until you're finished. And stood tall, got the crowd to yell. I thought that was one of the best segments Kaiser has ever had.
Yeah, and it's from his little pep talk from Gunther. They had that backstage vignette, probably a segment before that, or maybe 2 seconds before that, where he said, "You do you." Gunther told him, and he took the ball and ran with it. He interfered in the match. Will Sheamus ever become Intercontinental Champion? I feel bad for that guy, man. He has grinded for a long time. He's been with WWE a long time, and they've never given it to him yet. I was really surprised at that.
Yeah, almost 15
Ye-
years he's been there and he's been grinding. He's won a bunch of championships. By the way, Jason says a lot of people were thinking Cody was going to be the fifth member of that War Games team. I agree with you. I thought it was going to be that way too. I think
Mm,
they're kind of going to continue to have the Kevin Owens thing and leading
yeah.
into Saturday night's main event. I
Yep.
don't know why, Tommy, at this point, I like Sheamus chasing after things. The hardest thing to do when you're a superstar that's been around for a really, really long time is either reinvent yourself or keep yourself fresh in the minds of the writers and Triple H. And I think by giving him the rub from Braun Breaker, this is exactly what he needs to kind of have a fresh start, to kind of go in another direction. Because I think every single superstar right now is looking at January 6th and they're saying, you know what, that could be my chance to start my stuff over. So let me have a good last 2 months here. Do you get that feeling a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, Sheamus is a worker too, man. He's a company guy through and through. He's a banger. He loves to, I think he loved reinventing himself. He took some time off. He was hurt a little bit. He comes back. But you know what? The fans still like him. And when the fans still like you after 15 years, that means you're doing something. So he's a pretty good superstar. I think he really, really works hard at his craft. He's not bad at cutting promos, but he can get down in that ring. And I think he's doing really well right now.
Okay, that's a very good take. Quickly, question from Tyler. He says, I miss when shows had more matches with less time showcasing more wrestlers and episodic storylines. Longer match segments with all these commercials are such a drag. Am I crazy? Tyler, we've talked about this a lot. And this is an alarming situation that the WWE clearly is not taking seriously. Tommy, last week they had 1.5 million people watching the show. In the heyday, and whether you want to admit it or not, but when you and I were there in our
Mhm.
prime, we're talking 4, 5, 6 million people a week. That's
Uh,
when storylines are fresh. There's a correlation. So Tyler is not the only one that feels this way. If you're having multiple matches, including the last one, which didn't even start till 15 till the top of the hour, and it was
right.
still a 2-segment match. The
Yep.
hardest thing to do is to keep the match going when the crowd knows that you are at commercial break. And tonight, in a 2-hour show, once again, we had multiple matches that went multiple segments, which is alarming. It's red flags, Tommy. I don't know why more people aren't focused on this within the company.
You know what gets me? Like the War Raiders, the match with the match they had. Why is that a double match segment? Why are we seeing these guys for 2 segments? I don't get it, man. Like I am, I hate to say it. I'm not a fan of the War Raiders. They just look like somebody from the '80s to me. And in this day and age, 2024, big heavy set guys that look like Roman gladiators or whatever they are doesn't get me over at all. Meaning me. It just doesn't get over. And it doesn't get over to the average fan today because they're so hip and cool with everything. Why would you like the War Raiders, really? I mean, they're two big guys. I don't understand it. I just don't understand it.
Well, it wasn't about the War Raiders tonight. I know they've had some good moments in the last couple of weeks. Tonight, Tommy, was about Dom and Carlito. That's why
Yes.
that match was there, and that's why it's
Yep.
a multiple segment match. And
Yep.
you can still see that Dom is still getting all of that heat. The crowd is all on him, no matter who he's in the ring with. But
Yep.
I think to have it in the ring with those guys, it's all about physicality and to say they're a tag team that if they lose, I get that. And
Mhm.
Carlito took, if you notice, Carlito took the pin, not Dom. They are actively trying to protect Dom,
Yeah.
and it's the right thing to do.
Mhm. Yep, I agree with that. I really like Carlito, I know you do. I really think Carlito's a bigger superstar than JD McDonough. I swear to
No
God, I mean, he's been
question.
around a million years. They don't give him the rub though, coach. They treat him like he's a jokester or something. I'd rather see him be a tag team champ with Finn Balor. He'd be more entertaining than JD McDonough would be any day of the week. But that's not gonna happen. Maybe they see something in JD that I'm not seeing.
But you know, Tommy, that when somebody's around, Carlito was there when I was there in my 20s. I mean, it's been 20 years since Carlito was there. So when you bring somebody
Yep.
back when they're not named Lillian Garcia, who's a ring announcer, they're going to say, take whatever we give you because we're
Yeah.
giving you an opportunity to make some money. And Carlito's not that guy. He comes from a place where his family's so well known. He's always
Mhm.
grew up in the business, and he's one of my favorite dudes of all time.
Yeah.
So whatever he gets, everybody's going to appreciate it. But if you're comparing other guys within the Judgment Day, I can't disagree with you, Tommy.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
Carlito brings a lot to the table. And I hate that they're saying, well, he's a little bit older. I felt like the same thing happened with Shelton Benjamin. Same thing happens with
Mhm.
Bobby Lashley. You start to get into your 40s, and why can't you still be a player?
It's ridiculous. Yeah, have you seen Bobby Lashley? Have you seen Shelton Benjamin? All the years that I've seen Shelton Benjamin, he's been in one of the greatest shapes I've ever seen. And the same thing with Bobby Lashley. And they
Mm-hmm.
can go in the ring. Benjamin was one of the best collegiate wrestlers around, as you know, and everybody else knows. It's just that, the problem with Shelton was he couldn't cut a promo, right? All these years, I think he could have got a nice push or anything like that. But the fact that you can't cut a promo in the ring, that really pulls you back as a WWE superstar.
It does. Shout out to user 279. He says, what up, Tommy and Coach? What up to you? I thought when they went to 2 hours, they would have shorter matches, but it seems they stuck to the same format. It also looks like to me, user 279, that they are trying to do, Tommy, character development through like those 30 or 45-second promos. Did you notice tonight they had one with a female superstar?
Like
They had
Hera.
one with Dakota Kai.
Yep.
And so maybe they're saying we don't have enough time to put these characters on TV, but let's use TV time to put them over and then also pull forward storylines from SmackDown, which should take time out of the show, which should then allow for us not to have these two segment matches. But
Right.
the game plan, so to speak, heading into January 6th is very interesting, and we'll get to that in a second. What did you make of the Wyatt promo tonight and the taking forward the Karrion Cross and the Miz and the Wyatt stuff?
When did when did Miz get captured again? Because I did see him, right? He had the lyre on his stomach and everything. What did they recapture him? Now I saw the promo and everything, but
I missed like the first 15 minutes of the show. So if it didn't happen, I watched the last hour and 45. They had that, and this is kind of how the show is so clunky. When it's taped, it was all over the place. So
yeah,
I saw on social media they had, the Karrion Cross with the Miz behind it, and they were talking about how good they have and what they've done last week. And I think sometimes people get it mixed up. Hell, even we can get this stuff mixed up. But I know that the Wyatt stuff, wasn't it scary how much he looked like the
Bray,
brother,
Bray.
Bray?
Yeah, man.
And that's the first thing I thought.
Yep. Watching
That
him
was
too remind me
scary.
of Bray a lot too. Watching him and his actions and his face, It came right after McDonough and Carlito put their hand up. They put the scratch in there, and boom, they cut to the Wyatt vignette, and that's when Uncle Howdy or whoever Bo Dallas was talking. And then I saw the shot of Miz, and it said liar. I just want to know, when did they kidnap him again? Because
Yeah.
he was
Okay. If
high
somebody can
fiving
help us on
Karrion
that, let
Kross.
us know.
Yeah,
Let us know.
I didn't.
GSD says Carlito is awesome. I don't care about his age. He needs a push. Tyler says good point on the character building vignettes. That's kind of an old school thing that they did.
Yeah,
But normally you wouldn't see them do multiple ones on Monday night Raw. So, Tommy, the show started tonight. You guys are watching The Last Word. We are live here every single Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, brought to you by Mybookie.ag. Be a player with us right now. Use that promo code BTT. I'll give you up to $1,000, 100% bonus. Don't forget, get your new Coach and Carlucci merch, because at the Carlucci house, it's causing some issues. It's causing some issues with the missus, but that's okay. That's okay. We're going to get these sweatshirts and wear them together on the show one of these
yes,
times. That'll
yep,
really drive her crazy.
yeah, I
Uh,
love it.
so, Tommy, the last time I checked, if I broke a bone right
Mm.
here in my face, or if I broke a bone on this side of my face, do you think that I would make my return by yelling "War Games" and then headbutting somebody as the first physicality that I'm going to do? Because that's exactly what Rhea did, and we've known it for a week. But to have her back, all that mosh, I saw somebody said something, and good, because I'm trying to be more positive. They said
Yeah,
this is something that could have happened on social media. And that's how I kind of feel with this women's War Games match. It's just kind of 10 women thrown together, and it's not a whole lot of heat. There's not a whole lot of nothing for me. You?
yeah. Yeah, the only heat is Rhea and really Liv, right? What are the other girls? What's the heat about with them? There
Hmm.
really is nothing. And when you run in a ring and you have a broken orbital bone and you headbutt somebody, that's pretty stupid. And I know everything is kind of like a work and stuff, but it takes one accident to do that in the real time, and then you're really out. I know she had like a mask on her, or a clear mask, protective or something like that. But the only real storyline here, right, is Rhea and Liv, unless somebody could tell me different.
It is. And that orbital bone injury is supposed to be a shoot. It was supposed to be for real. So if
Yeah.
that's for real, they never should do that. But it also brings us to another story that happened in Los Angeles this week, Tommy. And Becky Lynch did an appearance. And of course, she was asked about coming back to Raw. And everybody's been saying, Coach, you don't know nothing. Coach, you're off. Where are your sources? So let's wait a second, Tommy. If you're Becky Lynch and you're watching that opening segment tonight, there could not be a bigger negotiating tool than what I watched right there. 8 months ago, she said, Hey, I'm not done yet. I just got to get this deal done. What did I say, Tommy? I said,
Yep.
she's asking, probably, and this is where I got misquoted by everybody. I never said that WWE offered her over 2 million. I said she is asking for more than 2 million based off of our knowledge of what others are making. Do you think that I'm even more spot on now that she's now saying, I might be coming back? I just don't know. I like doing other things when she knows the executives are watching, and that's the women's talent they have on both shows all in one ring tonight, and the crowd really wasn't into it. I mean, Becky might be making more money now.
Yeah, the women's division's pretty weak now with no Charlotte, and who knows when she's coming back. And they really need Becky right now, and she's looking at that, and she's looking at January 6th coming up for Netflix. Boy, it'd be nice to have Becky on that show. I think they're gonna little renegotiation going on because they're starving, man. You could tell there's not enough big women superstars to carry this whole deal here, and Becky can carry it, right? She's done it for a while, and I know she wants to come back. You know, you have that itch in you when you're not in front of the crowd or anything, that, and you're home taking care of your kid, or you're doing a book signing. It's not like walking out there with 20,000 people and your music playing. You know it for a fact. You've done it. I've never done it. I've watched it. So I can imagine how she feels right now, watching Rhea get the big pop and Liv get the big pop, and she's home with the kid. It's hurting her too, coach.
I know that she likes to be a mother. She's been very open about that. And a lot of
Sure.
women that have babies during their WWE career, they love being a mom, and it's really hard to come back. But we're talking about a revolutionary superstar. We're talking
Mhm.
about Tommy, a woman who came up with a nickname that historically has always been saved for men, and that's being called the man. And then
Man.
she backed it up and got her and Charlotte to the main event at WrestleMania. When you do that and you sit out for this extended length of time, I've been backstage. You've been backstage. Quit saying that we don't know what we're talking about because we do. And Tommy, the longer that this goes on, the more right that we are. If they agreed to her demands, don't you think they would have announced it already? Don't you think they would have said, WWE, Becky Lynch have come to terms. She makes her return January 6th. Pretty simple storyline to me.
Pretty simple and makes people wanna watch, right? They're gonna say, "Well, we got Becky coming back, but could she come back early?" You don't know. That's why you announce it. You say she's coming back. Oh, she's gonna be on the Netflix Raw, but you never know. 1 week, she may do a run-in or something like that. So it keeps you speculating, keeps you on the hop saying, "Man, maybe tonight, maybe on Raw, or even maybe on SmackDown, she can show up." That's the advantage when you let stuff out like that, and they're great at letting information out when they want to or when they don't want to. So I
Mhm.
agree with you, coach.
User 279 said the fans are ready for her to come back too. Another question, Devin in the chat says this setup has been good, but what I'm curious about is they have been mentioning Brock Lesnar quite a bit in the last month. Does he show up at the show or at the Rumble? I think that he will be back. But Tommy, I think right now there are certain names that when presented automatically have a negative reaction to them. And I think with what has happened with Vince and
Mm,
Brock's mention, whether he did anything or not,
right.
they will wait until after January 6th, have
Yeah.
all the positive vibes, and then they're going to bring him back. Brock
Yeah.
Lesnar is coming back. It's just a matter of do we wait? And then I've also heard, Tommy, that Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Netflix wants them, but there's been reports, depending on who you believe, that it'd basically be a one off because they're going to keep them on SmackDown, but they got to keep Netflix happy on night number one. Do you think that will be enough if that report is true?
I think we're gonna see Cody and Roman a lot on Netflix in the first couple of months just to drive the streaming up. So they
Okay.
say, "Oh, man, they're on again this week." I mean, you show them once and you don't show them. Are you watching again or something like that? Are you getting new streamers? Because that's what Netflix is all about, right? They're all about getting new subscribers. Once you subscribe, you're pretty much subscribed, and you forget about the $15 a month or whatever it is. I think they want to get to the peak. They're paying WWE a lot of money, and it's no problem for Cody or Roman to be on the Netflix Raw every week, wherever the situation, wherever what city they're in. They both have buses, so it's not a problem at all for WWE.
We saw Netflix, 60 million people tuned in for the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. So there's been conflicting reports, Tommy, that and I was guessing that there'd be maybe 500,000 to a million people sign up. Let's just say it was a million for the sake of argument, okay? And at $15 a month, that means Netflix would have made $150 million in that one fight. If it's a million people out of the 60 million. You're shaking your head. You think that's way too high.
No, no, I'm agreeing with you. I
Oh, okay.
that that
Vince
brought
thought
in
it was
some
like
big
10 million.
numbers.
Vince Russo thought it was
Yeah.
like 10 million. So let's just say it's a
Wow.
million to be conservative. So now Netflix does make money. To your point, Tommy, I'm the same way you are. I pay for something. Hell, I got a notification today for iCloud footage that I pay $9.99 for that I didn't even know I had 2 gigabytes. Where is that going? And so if
Yep.
I have Netflix, I used to have 2 or 3 Netflix, 2 or 3 Amazon Primes, all that kind of stuff. This is
Yep.
what they're trying to do is get as
Mhm.
many people to sign up, and then even if a few drop off, they're still going to get that money. Did
That's
you
right.
also see the report that internationally all of the PLEs and all the SmackDowns will be on Netflix as well?
Yep. That's a big problem for all our international affiliates, 80% of the world. They're gonna lose all those internet, and I know about this, folks. All those major, affiliates in Europe are going to lose Raw because Netflix owns the right to Raw. So why would they want to give it up to Sky or anybody else out there? It's not going to happen. And that's a big problem. They're going to lose a ton of affiliates. You watch.
Well, and you have been in that world many, many times, and it kind of shows how everybody is trying to find their own spot in the sandbox because
Mhm.
Netflix is a big bad wolf, right? They're the $5 billion. Then you got USA. They've been there for about 30 years. They supported Vince in the WWF when nobody else was going to. So there's
Ugh,
loyalty there. And then the shoulder programming. What is that going to be about? So
right.
it's going to be very interesting for January, February, and March, Tommy. And let's not forget John Cena. His farewell tour starts. I
Yep.
guarantee you, don't you, that he'll be there
Yes.
January 6th?
Oh my God. With bells on. Are you kidding me? He'll be there. You know, the big part of this deal, coach, is like you said, ancillary shows. Like you can't do a show like Bottom Line anymore because it's a show about Raw with an on-air talent and going to Raw. Well, you WWE can't do that anymore. We that was a big time seller for us to get in these countries, show them this show a little cheaper. Now you want the flagship show, the license fee goes up. That's how it works, folks, and it's not going to work like that anymore. And I will guarantee you those affiliates will drop in a minute. They will not pay WWE. If you want to give them replacement programming, they want the flagship show. They've been having that for 10 years. That's not going to happen anymore. And at one time, our international department carried WWE. That's how much money we were bringing in internationally.
Yeah, think about it. Over 100 countries. Imagine it if you guys have never seen or know what licensing is. Imagine, let's say, 100 countries. It was more than that, but 100 that all pay $1 million to get Raw or SmackDown. That's $100 million extra for back in the day making a tape and sending it out.
Yeah.
That's how you turn a company from worth 100 million
Yep.
to $1 billion. And that's
Yep.
exactly what the international department did. All right, a
Yep.
couple more fun topics, Tommy, before we get the hell out of Dodge. And do not forget, we will have a Gabriel Iglesias feature coming up in the next week or two. We're going to start doing more interviews. We also will have a live Wednesday show on DirecTV and Amazon Prime happening in the next few weeks, first part of December. Tommy, I'm all about everybody being equal. But the one thing that I'm kind of tired of at this point in my career is wanting it both ways. And for years and years, that if there is females that are participating in something, fighting with each other, can't talk about it, can't touch it, not at all. But now we've got Jackie Redmond, we've got Kathy Kelly, and they're going at it on social media. If this is a work, meaning if it's fake, it's just bad fakeness. If it's
Yeah.
real, what in the world are we doing? And how is Triple H allowing these two to talk about body shaming, women shaming, all the stuff that if guys do it, we're the big bad wolf. But when they do it, my goodness, I did not have this on my bingo card tonight.
Here it is, coach. We have a taped Raw tonight, right? The next live Raw, Triple H will be talking to Kathy Kelly and Jackie Redmond and saying, "Cut this bullshit out right now. You're announcers, you're backstage announcers. You're not WWE talent. You're backstage announcers. So cut the crap. We don't need this. We don't need this at all. We're here to promote the product, and that's what you guys do on social media. You don't go back and forth and body shame or this or that. Where does it get you? Who can do we really care about? We brought it up, I know. But does anybody really in that chat, does anybody really care that Kathy and Jackie are beefing right now? I don't think so.
User says, "Wait, coach, you're telling me the backstage interviewers are beefing." Pat says it's fake. Uh, I know
Why?
this. I know. Yeah. Why are we doing it?
Why is it fake? Who
And we're
cares?
talking about, two very petite women who have never fought in their lives. Jackie Redmond posted something on social media about CM Punk getting her ready in the ring. If we're setting up for a match between these two, I'll pass. It's nothing I need to see. But for two backstage interviewers, this would have been like, this is worse than this, but Kevin Kelly and Michael
And
Cole
you
back in the day. And
Or
me,
you.
I would have kicked all their asses. Who are you talking to?
I know. No, I
Please.
know
That's
that.
why I became a character. I was too big. Having some real issues tonight, but I believe we are back. We will try to get Tommy C on in a second. There he
There
is.
I am.
So we were just finishing up this. It's just like to me, Tommy. I have no issues if you want to beef. I have no issues if you want to beef. But if you're gonna beef, then you got to be okay. Daniel, you got to stop talking. I can hear you in my ear. Um, if they're gonna beef, they've got to be ready to then be criticized by everybody when you're doing something that's completely stupid and coach forgot to pay the internet. Yeah. Uh, but this is to me at a time when you're trying to be all positive to take anything away to me, no matter how small it is silly to me.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? You know who else is gonna get involved with this big time?
Who?
Michael Cole. Michael Cole.
He won't put up
I
with
will
this.
guarantee you I will guarantee you he will jump in on it and say, "Hey, I don't know what your beef is or what's going on. This needs to stop before it even gets to Triple H's level, because it's
That's
just
exactly right.
ridiculous. It's just
That's exactly
ridiculous."
right. It is. It's got to all be positive heading into Survivor Series, heading into the first of the year, heading into Saturday night's main event. There has never been a more important time in this company than right now. And
Yep.
this is just nonsense, so it needs to stop. A couple of other
Especially
fun topics as well, Tommy. Uh, AEW's got a big week coming up. And for those that are in the chat, they're with them. Yes, they got kidnapped. I love it. You guys are great for sticking around with us. You guys are great for that too. There's a lot of things that drive me insane. I watch too much, but this week on AE Dynamite, I've said I'm making a commitment to being more positive, looking for the positive in both companies and trying to bring it to behind the turnbuckle. But when you give me what's the name of the guy, the Costco guy, the Costco
Boom, whatever,
guy is
Big
Big
Al
Boom
and
AJ. Big Boom
Big
AJ.
Boom.
They're promoting him, Tommy, more than I've seen them promote a heavyweight championship fight with MJF. On Wednesday, he's going to show up to talk. Then he's got a match on Saturday before the pay-per-view. How are we supposed to not tease Tony Khan when he's given us this on the same week, Tommy, that they put up the wrong happy birthday for the wrong Mercedes? It was supposed to be Mercedes Martinez, and they put up happy birthday to Mercedes Monet.
Monet.
What are we supposed
See,
to do with that? I mean, you're handing
yeah,
it to me on a silver
y
platter. They
yeah,
can't even
it's
get out
just
of their
like,
own way, Tommy.
yeah, you just gotta hit the ball out of the park when they gives you stuff like that, and then they were just in my backyard in Bridgeport last Wednesday, which holds about 10,000 people, and there was about maybe 1,500 people there, and then when you have Swerve Strickland say, "We're in Stanford," and you're really in Bridgeport, who is running the asylum over there? Like, I don't get it. It's just
They're
horrible,
There's
horrible.
I saw a thing on social media, Tommy, where they're setting the arenas up for just about 3,200 people, no matter how big the arena is. That's what the setup is. And if that's the setup, that means that's all you're expecting the max. Micah says, Coach, AEW has no positives. TK has given up on his own company. Yours should go over there and write for TV for that, man, because you could do a better job, no cap. Micah, we actually talked about it, Tommy, today. Vince Russo put out on Twitter, he said, I would turn this company around in 1 year. So I asked him about it on the Coach and Bro show, and he says, I should have written if they allow me to, because he doesn't believe with the people around Tony Khan, this guy Will Washington, whoever is writing and bragging about it, that they would ever allow him to do that. I don't think Tony wants anybody to tell him what to do.
No, but if anybody can do it, he did it with this company. It's Vince Russo. But Tony Khan, his ego is so large that if he doesn't think of it, it's not going to happen. And it's just, I think he writes week to week, Coach. Really, if you look at the show, it's just a mishmash of everything, and you could just see there's no continuity at all when you watch that show. Bad
Oh, they
television, man.
User 279 said they just canceled their Saturday show coming up in Ohio. They bring the boom. That's what we do. Oh, Tommy, it's in my head. I can't stop singing this. Not only did they cancel a show coming up in Ohio, did you see they're going back to Chicago for about the 8th time in
Yeah.
2024? They haven't even sold 2,000 tickets. And there was all these memes of CM Punk laughing because who would have thought that CM Punk would get the last laugh after everything that went down? He'd be making millions again, and the company he leaves that kicked him out can't even get 2,000 people in the arena.
That's why you say in our company, you never say never. Whoever thought CM Punk would be back, he's making millions, and now he's laughing at Tony Khan, right? It's just crazy. And now they're at Prudential Center for their pay-per-view. It's this Saturday, I think. I think their
It is
pay-per-view
full gear.
Yeah, I
Full
wanna see
gear.
how crowded that place is. That's like a Madison Square Garden. I've
Where's it
worked
at?
there.
Where?
Prudential Center, where the Devils play.
Oh gosh, over in Newark.
Yeah, Newark. Yeah.
Oh my
Yep.
God, Newark's the worst city in America.
Oh,
Oh my
dude, I
God.
know. When I do Devil games, oh my god, I hate parking there. It's like $45, man. And you don't even know if your car is gonna be there because sometimes you
That's
gotta
what I
leave
was
your
gonna say.
keys, and I'm like, "No, I'm not leaving my keys with, this key over here. Are you kidding me?"
It's a lot of times in these cities they build these arenas in the worst parts because it's cheaper
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
that stuff. Jason said they also had to change location for their Columbus show in December. Interesting. Wow. So a lot of
Yeah,
people
I
in the chat today. Some guy during Mox promo last week screamed, "Yeah, go back to Roman."
like
Did
the
you hear that,
Roman. Yeah,
Tommy?
because
When the
there's
arena is so quiet that you can hear that,
Mhm.
that's a problem.
On on-air television when you hear that?
That's a
Wow.
problem. It's a
Yeah,
problem. It's a lot
yeah.
of issues, Tommy,
And
and it begs the question as we head into 2025. I think they either got bullied into it or the executive that did the deal for $185 million a year, he just doesn't understand the landscape right now. TNA is putting twice the number of butts in seats for their shows. Do you think there's a scenario or there's a get out clause in the contract if this thing continues to go downhill? Because you can't show an empty arena, Tommy, for your major show on Wednesday nights.
and let's face it, they had to bring those executives to a TV taping, right? A live show, and
Had to.
they're wa they're walking around, I mean, WWE did it all the time, but our places were sold out. You bring them around, you see, and you're an executive with Warner Brothers, and you see 1,200, maybe 2,000 people in a 10,000 seat arena. Are you kidding me? I'm looking at them. We're investing $185 million for this when you can't even fill an arena. Yeah, I bet you there's something in that clause where, there's an out for them somewhere down the line here.
I always talk about it that in every decision there had to be a board meeting in a boardroom with people that are supposed to be incredibly intelligent, for people that have risen up in their respective organizations or businesses to get to that point. It's just really, really hard for me to believe with our experience that there were many, many, many individuals who signed off on all of this and got us to this point. Jordan says, wish they knew what they were doing with John Moxley group. Already tired of that storyline. I think it's really easy, Jordan, and I'm not saying anything about you or your fan base, it's really hard when one thing is bad, Tommy, not to just be negative about everything else in the show, because it feels like one thing leads to another, leads to another.
They're not even capitalizing, and you like this guy who has got the most charisma, got the best look. He's a young guy. He's in Adam Sandler's next movie coming up, MJF. They're not capitalizing on him and making him the big star. It's Moxley right now. He's the champ. But MJF should be running that company like Rock did back in the day, Stone Cold did back in the day, and that company be a lot better off if they made MJF the man.
I've been saying it for many, many months, probably a couple of years. MJF is the most charismatic wrestler, no matter what organization you're talking about. And you put him over in the WWE with those dudes, with those guys, imagine what he can do. That's why I said that he took every last dollar he could because he knew they had to pay him.
Yep.
They knew they had to pay him. You know what I mean?
Adam Cole never panned out, right? He didn't supposed to be this big superstar. Man, God, he even lost Britt Baker, so that's bad.
Yeah, speaking of Britt, how about what user 279 says? I don't know if you saw this one, Tommy. She was like standing up, leaning against the ropes, and you could see her going, "Nobody cares. Nobody cares." Yeah, she did that. She did that. So when the talent's doing that on your big show, and we know behind the scenes that they let personal relationships get in the way of professional shows. We know that. It's public knowledge. And I don't know where they go from here. But if people think that WWE is so far ahead of them in fan interest, Tommy, I'd be very, very careful with that, because 1.5 million that are watching your show when you're heading to Netflix with all of this momentum, I think they need some more storylines. So don't get too excited, WWE fans. And finally, Tommy, because I know you're a big fan of this guy, what did you make of Triple H going to Travis Scott's concert to tell him you're the hardcore champ? You're coming to January 6th, and all of his 12 million X followers and TikTok and all that. Travis Scott's going to change the world. Your thoughts?
Oh my God! And he's doing the Raw theme too. For Netflix, he's doing the Raw theme. I read that.
He's doing the new Raw theme?
Yes, he is. Yep.
Interesting.
I wonder if everybody in the crowd knew who Triple H was. That's my question.
I mean, it is a discussion I think we're going to have. We have little episodes that air every Friday at 11 a.m. We should do one. Do WWE fans, or vice versa, do Travis Scott's fans know anything about wrestling? That's probably the bigger question.
They're all stoned.
The bigger question. All right. All right, that's going to do it for now. Don't forget, if you missed any of this, and we apologize for the tech, it happens sometimes. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. So much content there. I told you in December, we launch on DirecTV and Amazon Prime. It's going to be a roundtable show, 3 to 4 people, maybe even 5, it looks like it's going to be Wednesday night. We'll still be here on Monday nights as we continue to grow this brand week by week. That'll do it for intern Dan, for producer man, for my man, Big Tommy. I am the coach. We'll see you next Monday. Tell all your friends we want that live number to grow. Tell all your friends about the last word. Take care.